What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Nick. We're gonna be heading up to Santa Rosa today to get back working on the Miata, mainly with the engine today, and show some cool new goodies that are gonna be put on the car. So the reason we're going to Santa Rosa, the Miata, as you saw in the last episode, is at Neil's house. Neil is a friend of mine who is also building a 5-cylinder exo set. And is letting me store a lot of his. What is going? We're just hanging out. Yeah, there you go. Now you figured it out. It's California. So Neil is helping work on the Miata, as well as he got the new engine from the Miata Motorsports guys into the RS6 Avant. We out here. We made it. Before we start talking about some Miata stuff, the baby runs again. So this is my very, very old beat wagon, but I love her to death. The engine saw a sad day and blew a year ago yesterday, and 1 full year later, she is finally running. It's a momentous occasion. Alex was there for the day that it blew.
It was like 2 hours into what was supposed to be a 14-hour road trip.
Yeah, that was horrible. I had to drive the car, we broke down in Oregon, just over the border from Washington to Oregon, and I had to get a U-Haul truck and tow it on a 20-foot U-Haul box truck and a 15-foot car trailer because they wouldn't give me anything else. And I got home at 5 a.m. It sucked. But anyways, we're not necessarily here for that today. We are here to talk about what's gonna go in here. Well, there we have it. It's been outside since the last time we did a video, which was a month or so ago. And we're gonna start tearing things down a bit. We'll see if we can't use that cherry picker and finagle it. Why am I looking at you? Why is this so backwards? It is as it was last time. There's a little bit of a lake going in there. Here's the 01E 6-speed that was out of an S4, or actually C5 all-road, that I was going to initially use, but that plan is no longer in existence. We're doing something different, so I'll talk about that more in a minute. One day, my Miata build will be similar to this, except I'll probably do the full race cage, but this is an Exomotive exo set that Neil's been building. So he also is running the 5-cylinder 07K, but he did his own custom oil pan. He's mounting it flat versus angled, and he's running a Ford T5 manual trans. See, very short. And what he had to do in order to get things to fit properly in here is just push the firewall back a smidge. About 2 years ago, I cut, flipped, and welded his intake manifold. I don't know where it is. But instead of doing that on my build, we're going to be trying the Boost Brothers off-the-shelf manifold. I'm going to get started here by moving the old transmission out of the way, bring it over there, and then we'll cut the straps on this guy and bring it on into the shop so we can start to work on it a bit. Good luck or wish us luck. We're probably gonna drop it, so we'll see what happens. So without dropping anything, without seriously cross-threading anything, we don't exactly have the right tools for the job, but that's okay. Sent some bolts that are smaller than those holes through. Let's tighten up on that side. These guys aren't exactly the right size either, but that's okay. And now we're gonna go ahead and wheel this thing inside the shop. Okay, this is pretty exciting. So, as I was saying earlier, I'm working with Boost Brothers Garage out of Ohio. They develop swap kits and 07K oil pans, mounting kits, clutch kits, etc. for the Porsche application for the 07K or 07K. But a lot of their products will work for my application. Not this one, but outside. So in development with them and in testing to see what other cars, what other platforms, what other engine bays does all this fit in, they sent me all their components. So let's take a look at these beautiful pieces. So to start off, they manufactured the first longitudinal rear-wheel drive style oil pan, and what they have done is taken a factory upper oil pan. So if we take a look over here, they've taken this guy, the upper oil pan. So there's the steel lower and the cast aluminum upper. They've taken the upper oil pan and modified its spacing to clear the front of the engine on subframes, and relocated the majority of the oil capacity to the side. Now, this slant here is designed for engines to be mounted at the factory angle, which I believe is like 18 degrees. And you know, other people choose to do flat mount, such as Neil, because his Exocet hood is quite small and low, so he needed it as flat as it could be. Otherwise, the things like the oil fill would be a little too far over. So, going back over here, this is a really, really nice steel construction, zinc plated to, you know, protect against the elements, with a drain plug already built in. And then if we flip over the other side here, you can see the modification for the oil pickup to be properly baffled so that you're not going to lose any oil under high load. There's some packing peanuts in there that I'm going to need to get out before I run this, probably. And a nice feature that they've added on as well for the folks that are doing turbos is that they already have an AN oil drain for turbo fitting. So this is one of the biggest keys and pieces to getting this 5-cylinder inside this Miata. Prior to this, there hasn't been a oil pan kit in years for these things. So very excited to give this a try. So then moving over here, we have some co-developed parts with Iabed Industries. So this is the Boost Brothers coolant thermostat or coolant flange. On the back side of the engine on the factory, you'll find this guy. It's a plastic unit that protrudes pretty far out, and when you're mounting in a small engine bay such as this, that is in the way. That's pretty ineffective and becomes quite difficult to work around. So as you can see, Neil doesn't even have one on there right now, but if he did, you know, it would protrude out a certain distance. The nice thing about this billet one-piece unit is it will replace all of this entirely and allow everything to come downwards and be as flush as possible, because with these outlets, too much springs, you know, out, back this direction and over this way. This helps bring things more in line in a ergonomic and tight package situation. So this is one of the key components that they, Boost Brothers Garage, has made. It's a one-piece billet aluminum. It's pretty sweet. So next up, we have the Iabed power steering adapter kit. So basically this lets the power steering pulley system get relocated to allow you to run a 1.8T power steering pump. Also one-piece billet pulley, very nice construction. Should be very nice because I want to retain power steering on the Miata. And this is kind of a hot topic as far as Miata guys go, because some will do depowered power steering racks. They like that feeling. They think it brings it back to the original Miata feel, and it makes it more of a direct driving. If you're primarily on the racetrack, that is good. Since this car won't see the racetrack for probably a year until I get things finalized and running properly, I want to retain the power steering for now. If down the line I'm open to changing that around, but so far we're planning to stay with power steering. Then moving on is the Iabed billet valve cover. So on the factory, as you can see here, is a plastic valve cover with a large PCV box over here on the right. And as you can tell, it's tall. And when you're pushing more power and you're putting the car through more stressful situations, and you also are limited by engine bay space, getting a valve cover that is a little more slimline is nice. And they have an integrated breather box on this as well that has internal steel wool basically to keep things, or keep oil from splashing out as much into your PCV system. So you can see the nice machining in there. And this is the underside, obviously, that would go facing the cams and have your seal integrated. Nice looking unit. I know some folks will paint them, but I think, who doesn't like billet? Rob Dom. Next is a vacuum pump delete kit. On the back side of the engine, there is a vacuum pump that is run off of the brake booster, and it really is only necessary for when it's actually in the Volkswagens that this came with. For our purposes, we don't need the vacuum pump. So it usually becomes a point of oil leaks, so getting it out of the way and deleting it's really smart and advantageous. Last but definitely not least is this pretty puppy. So this here is the Iabed 07K oil filter relocation bracket or housing. So to better understand why this is so needed and nice, let's take a look at the factory oil system. As you can tell, it protrudes out quite a lot, and the packaging of it is not very friendly to other cars. Is there an ice cream truck?
Yeah. Ice cream van.
Ice cream van.
Yeah.
Nice. It sounds like a bit of a horror movie.
I know, that looks genuinely terrifying.
Yeah.
Like they've got the fucking like prison rear windows.
Warning, children in the back. Okay, we'll try to ignore the rapey ice cream truck. So yeah, this is the factory oil cooling oil plate that you attach your oil filter to and have other oil lines and sensors coming off of, as well as an oil cooler, and that's the factory oil cooler. The whole goal of this guy is to delete that entire unit. It brings the oil filter closer to the block as far as allowing you to suck things up more inside and underneath the manifold. And then what you can do is it allows for room to put a sandwich plate for whatever oil cooler you like. And that is going to be extremely essential when we're running this car with a turbocharger and this engine at pretty high RPM. I think like, what do you say, like 9,000? Moon tune?
That would sound fucking incredible.
No, probably like 7,100 for now. They throw belts a little higher than that, so we'll have to do the TTRS crank pulley as well, because that has a harmonic balancer in it already. So I think without further ado, the only other part that I don't have that we'll be getting soon is the thermostat housing adapter, which if you look right here, the thermostat noodle thing is quite large and it protrudes out in a direction that doesn't really work for us. So Boost Brothers have also developed a thermostat housing adapter that lets you clock it down to bring it more slimline with the block and run coolant using the OEM thermostat, but just the housing relocated. So I think it's time. I think it's time to start tearing this thing down and see what we can fit on. Okay, so we got the intake manifold off. It is as shitty as it looks. This is the factory fuel rail and injectors. Now, I'm not going to be using these, so I don't really need to take them off. So we will just deal with that later. Currently just putting back in the screws so we don't lose them. Next off here, we're going to pull the oil pan drain plug just to ensure that it's actually empty before we take everything off. Seems advisable. So that will be the next one on the list, because I want to get the oil pan on before this. I feel like this is more aesthetic. The oil pan is actual functionality, and I want to make sure everything lines up and looks perfect there. Do you think that they would ship an engine with oil in it? I feel like that's probably not kosher. Oh, this thing was definitely stripped or cross-threaded at one point in its life. Oh wow. Oh wow. Yep. Very coolanty oil.
That's concerning.
That's concerning.
Maybe it's just that water has been getting in?
Yeah, because that's not a lot of oil. It's just a little bit.
Yeah.
And that could be attributed to some leftover. That's good. Wunderbar.
Yeah.
It's not enough that it would be concerned right now. I would chalk that up to just, it's been sitting outside for a couple months.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
You're definitely going to want to do like an oil change after first drive.
That's fine. Alright, so now that we've confirmed there's not a ton of oil in there, let's spin her around. Goodbye, Bessie.
Yeah, this thing got hit pretty hard.
Hello, beautiful.
Boy, skinny penis. You know you gotta turn the lights on.
Look at you.
Hey.
Look at you in the PJs.
DJ on fleek.
I prefer to
You'll learn to
get disgusting. I worked at an auto shop for 3.5 years.
Oh wow, you're such a big guy. Look at this.
Nice.
Disgusting
fucking peanut butter.
milk.
rain zone.
Oh god. Nice. We're gonna pull off these 5mm Allens to start.
Oh god.
Nice. Good work. Pull off these 5mm Allens to start. Get the lower oil pan off. Take a look inside, see the baffles, and then we'll work on getting this guy on. So all these guys are 5mm Allens. And we'll need to, we're just test fitting right now. I'm not gonna seal anything up just yet.
Mine came with a plastic to do.
Oh, I got a newer offset. There. Alright.
Oh my god. It's a boy.
Ooh. Look at that pickup. That's nice. So it's a billet housing adapter here. Zinc coated plate again as well. Relocating it into the sump, the baffled bottom here. That's really nice. I like it a lot. I like the construction too. It's got these little, it's almost like barn doors kind of things. They're basically door hinges. So that when you're cornering heavily, one side will open, but the other side, the oil won't completely just drain out. That's a pretty smart idea. I like that a lot. So we flip it over, and we find our drain for the oil, or turbo oil drain right here as well. So that's a pretty nice addition to have for most of us guys. I guess if you're not doing a turbo, you could just block that off, but why would you do this without a turbo? That seems like a bad idea. Cool. Look at him.
Glorious.
You're the boss, baby.
What's up?
Okay. Minor technical difficulties. Thought that we had all the bolts out. Turns out there's two hiding behind the flex plate that I didn't even think about. So we now have to take it off the stand, which we're going to do in a similarly ghetto way. All right, after some intense struggles of not ever doing this before and being kind of dumb, we have the upper oil pan off. We had to pull the flex plate, which meant taking this back off the stand, but we are here now, and unfortunately, I do not have the forged crank. I have a cast crank, but you know, such is life. That's okay. So now that this guy's off and out, let's go ahead and throw this one on. So I had to pull off the oil pickup on this guy in order to get it to actually seat in and around something. So now I'll try it again.
You registered as
There you go. Nice.
yeah, it's changed. Just pushing on it now.
Sweet. Okay. Put this over yonder. Should we use the same clip from the last oil pan? The one that goes under this bolt here? And that little, you see this guy? Yeah. Little C
I don't know
clip?
if it'll work.
I
don't know how it's gonna fall off.
yeah, be impressive. Yes. Yeah. If it fits the chips for a low flat rate.
It doesn't matter because the pan's not sealed. So.
Yeah, I mean it's all coming off anyways. I'm doing exactly what you said I shouldn't do. Let's see how this looks.
The pickup's not tight. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, all this is gonna come off.
I didn't redo my floors.
That looks pretty frisky. Got the pan on here and it's looking great. The angle is definitely aggressive. This is the 944 oil pan, so it's not going to be a guarantee that it's going to actually clear anything from Miata ride heights, but we're going to give it a good old college try. And you can see a little more now how they've boxed off this bottom side so it has steering rack clearance, and we'll need to do some work with this bracket and replace all of this stuff. But for now,
Well, that's where your adapter
it's
goes.
looking pretty good.
For your pulley.
This is correct.
Hey.
Thank you.
So that's the problem. I think that's the main thing we're gonna have to worry about is clearing this.
Mm-hmm. Which with that adapter stuff,
It's gonna be
hopefully
tricky.
Hopefully it works.
That's where the steering rack comes right out.
Mm-hmm. We may not be power steering.
Mine's like,
We'll see.
so mine engine's mounted to like here. So you'd have to come like almost all the way, like right here.
Mm-hmm. So kind of to visualize what we're talking about here, the power steering would normally be mounted right here. You can see where he cut it off, but that's because his steering rack comes through right there. So in order to clear it, we would need to bring the engine on top of the steering rack and bring it forward more, which he has a lot of extra room up here because, you know, he pushed the engine back and obviously he put a oil cooler there because he has the space. But I can bring my engine, you know, pretty much way to the front.
Push mine back maybe 3 inches, like this much. You have like this much.
Yeah, so I can bring the
All the way up to
I can bring the engine nearly all the way to the front, which I know that means that there's weight in front of the front axle, yada yada yada, perfect weight distribution, Miata. This isn't supposed to be perfect. This is supposed to be fun. After a lot of struggles, we finally got the oil pan on. It's all gonna need to come back off anyways because we didn't seal anything, and primarily it is on as a function for test fitting. And since the engine will be coming in and out of the car a lot once the transmission comes in, it will be a bit of a challenge and struggle as it is. So now we flipped it all back over and we're gonna start doing the valve cover, which even if it's not gonna run for a while, I'm just so excited for this crap plastic to go away. So yeah, it's just, yeah, I kind of, whatever. Oh, nice. This EGR crossover tube's in the way. Goose.
It's secondary air, it's not EGR.
What the fuck? Rusty
This is just what they look like.
bucket. Well, it's just shit cast. Ugh. Wonderful.
Yeah, we came out this morning and we were just like, twinsies.
The Spider-Man just like,
Say the Spider-Man meme.
what the? All fairly straightforward. Nothing really crazy or exciting about this. So,
Ooh, baby, a triple.
I wish there were more billet pathways like this in the backside. Wow, that really freshens this shit up.
Yeah, it makes the engine look like a piece of shit now.
Yeah, especially with the really crappy stock header on it. Obviously, we'll need to come off again to seal everything down, and I'll have to do some 90 AN fitting to go to a catch can. It's looking nice, looking real nice. So this is really going to be a fantastic addition to the engine itself, with the added crankcase pressures and the boost levels that we're going to run. Just having the peace of mind of knowing that that plastic intake manifold won't fail is nice. And boy, that looks nice. So moving forward, we'll just need to do a 90-degree AN fitting off of this guy to head out to a catch can. So now, cat and dog. It's like true cat dog kind of thing going on here. Now we got to go ahead and pull off the oil cooler oil housing.
Oh, this one right here?
So we were just talking about how this is a piece of garbage from the factory anyways, and without even really noticing it prior, it's already broken. So, I bought this engine off of eBay for $300 shipped, because 07Ks are pretty cheap, and a large reason for wanting to remove this coolant neck is A, super fragile, breaks all the time, and B, it's just kind of bad. But yeah, see, very brittle over time as time goes on. So pulling this is definitely going to be nice in the long run, and hopefully later, after I'm done pulling the engine in and out 5 times, I won't have to do it more than I need to. So the next thing that we're pulling off here is the vacuum pump off the backside. This is basically just a secondary vacuum pump for the brake booster on the factory cars so that you don't lose brake boost pressure. But in a car that has its own secondary brake boost vacuum system, this is really useless and is often a point of leaking for oil. So we are just gonna pull it off and use that fancy little kit over there to block it off. Bye. So we were just talking about how in the course of 4 hours, this engine has gone from looking like it belongs in a junkyard to really starting to come together. And, it's finally, I don't think it's set in. It's easy to just fill your cart on eBay with a bunch of crap, but I don't think it's set in what we're doing. And it's really starting to come along here. So we got the valve cover on, the billet coolant flange on, which is phallic in all of the good ways. And then lastly, we have the secondary air injection, or not secondary air, vacuum pump.
Yeah.
Yep. So we just got rid of that as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the oil cooler system. So looks like we got a couple triple squares here. We're just gonna, ooh, that's longer. All right. Am I missing anything here? Yes. Okay. I think. Oh, nope. A couple hidden ones. Need an extension there.
If you need more light, I have tripod light.
I do need more cowbell.
I don't have that.
Shit. Quite the backdrop. I do enjoy having a sweet looking exo set in the background. It really gives me hopes and dreams.
And snacks.
And snacks.
Yeah, not enough cowbell.
Definitely
Not
not enough
nearly
cowbell.
enough.
So we're gonna upsize. Well, that was easy. I expected more of a fight. Why was that so hard? Okay.
Nice.
Nice. All right, well. Sick. Sick. Wow. So we should probably go ahead and just quickly brush off the surface here so that these seals get a nice seat.
Off the office in today's age.
Oh yeah, could never be made again. Makes you wonder how Rick and Morty eats this. Okay, we're pretty much squared away here for what we're gonna do today, or what we were planning to do today. I think doing the power steering relocation is gonna be a project for a later day, depending on what kind of clearance we get when the car is in. I'm almost a little speechless just because it's really starting to happen. It's looking great. So we got this oil cooler, well, oil sandwich plate on, and what we can do now is, well, it obviously replaces this gigantic unit here, and we'll have our new oil filter. We have lines to go to an oil cooler. Actually, no, that's not true. It's an oil feed. And then what you can do is put a plate on this as well that is basically a sandwich itself to go to a external oil cooler as well. So all you gotta do is pull this sensor off and put it on this bad boy. Yeah, so the only considerations for the power steering is what we were talking about earlier, is that bracket hangs pretty low, and the power steering on the Miata is right here, essentially, in plane with this guy. So that's the only consideration. Now in Neil's car it's more of a problem because his is mounted flat. Since my car will be mounted, or my engine will be mounted at an angle, we might have the clearance. So we'll see. Old dog is...
About 99% of my videos have them fighting about it.
Old dog is old. So that's gonna wrap it up for today. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, tell me if there's anything you want to see or anything you want me to go into detail on. Thank you to Boost Brothers Garage for providing so much stuff for us. And we'll see you guys next time.